of course, a lot of that coming from the Republican side of the aisle, but also from the Democrats as well. Some of the top lines from the beginning of the speech is when he said, this is not a clash of civilizations, it's a clash of barbarism and civilization. And he said, for the force of civilization to triumph, America and Israel must stand together. I think the thing really that will be raising the eyebrows of the Biden administration, however, is towards the end of that speech when he started talking about American aid for Israel and also a ceasefire deal and his vision for the Middle East as well. He pushed for expedited military aid. Now, of course, the Biden administration has been pushing aid towards Israel, but it has stopped just one shipment of 2,000-pound bombs, those heavy bombs which the US was worried would be used within heavily populated areas. Now, Netanyahu in his speech said that the IDF forces, the Israeli Defense Forces, have a very good record of a very good ratio of combatant to civilian casualties. He gave that anecdote about speaking to one of his commanders in Rafah, where they said they'd killed 1,200 combatants, but only killed about two dozen civilians. I think many in the American administration will say 2 dozen civilians is 2 dozen too many. Of course, that is something we've been hearing from John Kirby numerous times over the course of the last 300 days or so since the war broke out. When he moved on to the ceasefire, he then said that, of course, the war could end tomorrow if Hamas surrendered and gave up the hostages. That, again, something we've heard from John Kirby and the rest of the American government as well. But he also gave forward his vision for the future. He said a new Gaza could emerge, a demilitarized and de-radicalized Gaza. He said that Israel does not seek to regain control of Gaza, but that it would be in charge of security within a new Gaza. That, of course, going against what the Americans have said multiple times, would be the future of Gaza if they tried to bring together regional partners and the Palestinian Authority and the Israelis to rebuild the Gaza Strip and rebuild a new Palestinian territory into the future. He also said that that he wanted a Palestinian Authority that would not seek to destroy Israel. He said that shouldn't be too much to ask, and that the future of Gaza would be shaped with regional partners. And then he thanked Joe Biden for bringing together those regional partners. One thing, however, I think will be where he'll be accused of playing politics is that he also gave significant thanks to Donald Trump throughout his speech when he thanked him for the extension, the Abraham Accords, those rapprochement of ties between regional Arab partners and also the Israelis, but also thanking him for moving the embassy to Jerusalem, for recognizing the Golan Heights as Israeli territory. So I think really Netanyahu here playing politics, and of course he is playing politics this week as well, because not only is he going to see Joe Biden and Kamala Harris on Thursday, but then on Friday he's flying down to Mar-a-Lago to go and see Donald Trump. So a bit of a hedging of the bets, I think, there from Netanyahu for the future of support from the Americans. Of course, with this all taking place against the backdrop of the US elections taking place in just 4 months' time.
Whatever happens, Fraser, that support from the US to Israel is not going to stop. The military aid will keep coming. There will be that support which is constant. As you were talking, we were showing images of protests that are happening. These protesters were referred to by Binyamin Netanyahu as useful idiots to Iran. These are the people who are protesting against what is happening in the Gaza Strip. Netanyahu made no reference to the 39,000 Palestinians that have been killed since October the 7th. A great number of those women and children. No one here is saying that what happened on October the 7th was anything but an atrocity. What Hamas did was a complete atrocity. 1,200 at least Israelis killed and 250 kidnapped. No one is disputing that. Netanyahu, they're making no mention of the scale of the death that Israel has wrought upon the Gaza Strip. We're seeing the demonstrations which are continuing, Fraser. Give us a sense of what people have been saying on the streets.
It's been a very heavy police presence here. People are very aware of the gravity of the moment. You can see some of the police stood behind me, and one of the police cars is about to go past. We've actually moved away from the protest because the police were starting to pepper spray some people on the fringes of that protest. So that is taking place now. They moved off just out of frame over here on the left-hand side of your screen as you're looking at it. So they moved off around the beginning of the speech by Netanyahu and moved over towards the Union Station part of Washington, D.C., just to the left of the Capitol building there. They will not be able to get too close to the Capitol. There is this large security presence here, hundreds of extra officers from different police departments, including the NYPD, drafted in to try to help secure the Capitol. And this fence that you're seeing here with the police driving by and all different kinds of branches of the police, it must be said, there's the Park Police, the FBI Police, Secret Service Police, all kinds of different branches of the American authorities here to secure this area. So all of this now completely in lockdown, but those protesters still came in a large number, thousands of them, and they are saying that they want their tax dollars to stop funding the war in Gaza. They want to stop giving all that money to the Israelis. They're calling for a ceasefire as well. It's the same things that we've been hearing for months now, that ever since this war broke out in the aftermath of the October 7th attacks. This actually, though, the biggest demonstration we have seen in DC and probably the most high profile since at least the college campus protests of a couple of months ago when they were occupied. But of course, that again, something Netanyahu made reference to in his speeches, not only calling the protesters useful idiots. He also said people holding signs that say things like "gays for Gaza" might as well hold signs saying "chickens for KFC." That got a bit of a laugh from the Republicans in Congress. And he also made reference to the academics who run those college campuses where those protests were taking place. He called them befuddled academics. That also got a laugh as well from some of those gathered in the House of Representatives there. So it has been catching the attention of Netanyahu for sure, but he did kind of poo-poo them and focus more on what he said is the most important part of that, which is getting more aid for Israel from the US.